How African parents can sometimes confuse respect for fear.
I can say that respect and fear were the two things I feel while growing up. I did not have an idea of what it means to relate with parents.
So I don't ever think that it is inherently in the character of a father or a mother, a parent, to want to do evil or wickedness.
Whenever they do something bad, their mom will put them somewhere and put Bible in their hand. Then you go read that Bible from head to toe.
Talk to me now. Talk to me. Say your mind. It's like it's crazy.
Me, the way I was feeling,
What
that
in
I
your
wanted
leg
to-
back?
you wanted
You wanted to beat him for her. Yeah, the parents should be careful of.
Welcome to Ibadan 360. Yes, and we are here today in this beautiful city of Ibadan, actually, and also in this beautiful rectangular studio. Yeah, set media, and yeah, we have come with this peculiar topic, and it's relating to childhood, to how African parents can sometimes confuse respect for fear. And yeah, we've got different angles and perspectives to that with our two wonderful guests. So from the time maybe when you are trying to greet your elders, or the time you are trying to say something, but then you have to be silenced because you don't know how they are going to, approve to it. Maybe they'll see you as someone who is rude, or someone who doesn't, not so disciplined. And we'll narrow it down to our personal experiences in time. And then we have two of our guests in the studio. And yeah, a lot of questions will be asked. And yeah, they'll be introducing themselves as we start, or we ask the first question based on the personal experiences. And by the way, my name is Ola. And once again, welcome to Ibadan 360 podcast. And yeah, to my very first guest right here in the studio, the beautiful woman, or should I say lady, sitting to my right. So starting with your personal experience, of course, maybe you introduce yourself as you answer the question. So starting with personal experiences, and maybe in your growth or your growth journey, when you think about your relationship with your parents, would you say that you felt, if what you felt for them was respect, or was it just that maybe it was the kind of parents that you had, that you didn't just know how they were going to respond to certain things? That was what shaped your view and the way you see discipline, essentially. So I'm asking you this because I think every one of us, we all grew up in African homes, and we all had parents where they would instill discipline based on how they're able to handle you. Handle is what I mean by discipline, how they're able to beat you when you do some things that are out of the ordinary, or things that demand some level of respect. So would you say that those were things that shaped your view, or how has it shaped your view so far, as you grew, as you evolved from that point?
Okay, my name is Rema. I am a clinical psychologist. So what do? I help people that have been lost at certain point of life while growing up to get their track back in life towards self-actualization in life.
Therapist.
Basically a therapist. I'm talking about my childhood experience. I think I would not really say my childhood experience come from a place of probably fear or respect, because I didn't really grow up from a functioning family. I mean, a healthy family that shows love properly and help you see love properly and help you use that love to also show love to others in the society. I didn't come from that kind of family. But then I can say that respect and fear were the two things I feel while growing up. I had those two emotions, and the reason I had those two emotions is because, number one, there was a part of me that I did not have an idea of what it means to relate with parents. And I don't know what to say, what not to say. I don't know whether I should rush up and they hug me, or maybe I just sit down there. I didn't have any of those communication things with them. And fear, of course, because I don't know what to say.
Right.
You don't even know whether anything you say is respect or not.
Yeah,
so you will not even, you just stay your day. Just day your day. But obviously while growing up, I started seeing the light of what family could be, what
Right.
Yeah.
a good family and healthy family could look like, the relationship, the communications, the systems, and everything. I started understanding what it means to respect from probably maybe an African mentality, like
Yeah.
okay, what does respect really mean in a family system and culture and everything. I started looking into all those things, and of course my profession added to it. I would not deny that, and that brought me to that place of fear could be relative. You could be having fear from a positive
Right.
point of view, and you could
Right.
be having fear from a negative point of view,
Right.
depending on where the fear is coming from.
Yeah.
For example, a child that is scared not to do something bad because they've learned from it. Probably you told the child,
Right.
don't put your hand inside that fire. Don't put, and the child eventually went there and put his hand inside the fire. That's fear, because you know that in his life has taught him.
Yeah, lesson.
He will not try it again. And a fear of what you've not become as parent,
Okay.
and you are trying to instill it into your
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. And you putting yourself in that space as parents shows that you are instilling fear in your children and not respect, because respect is something that should be earned, and it is earned by how you position yourself as parents. At the end of the day, many parents are not positioning themselves towards who or what they want their child to be in the society.
Right. That's a very good one. I wow. So we all grew up with parents that, you know, the way they think that you should shape a child is by,
Right.
you know, using the rod. They always coin this phrase that you spare the rod and then you spoil the child, just like actually how the Bible puts it. But then to an extent, or to some extent, some parents now do it to a point that they must scar you, or do it so that it's something that you remember. They will tell you that this thing you will show your children. And actually, I think it's something that they grew up with. The kind of parents they also had, they were instilled, in fact, to a very large extent. Some of them, they will tell you that my parent didn't feed me for some days
True.
because of certain things that I did, and they don't see it as, they see it as extreme. But what can they also do to make sure that this child, I want him to toe on this path, I want you to do this. And then I was reflecting back on certain events that happened when I was also growing up. Well, I was quite naughty, stubborn also, you know, as male children are in many households. And there are certain times when my mother will tell me, "Man, look, babo, man, babo, you stay inside. Once you come back from school, you stay inside and read your book." But you know, the premonition is when you see your peers playing football outside, and then you now say, "I want to sit," and then you listen to your mother. When she's not at home, you go outside and go and play ball. And if she meets you there, she will cane you, of course. You know, it's not more than cane. But don't you see it? Do you see it as a way to, you know, try and temporarily make the child feel afraid of certain things? Because they don't tell you that I'm not telling you to do this based on this. You know, they are telling you to do it based on what their own ideology is. Like,
Yeah.
no reason behind it. They're just saying that this thing, I don't want it, and you must not want it too.
True.
But they're not giving any reason. But whereas you are looking at it from, I just want to have fun. I want to mix with my peers. Probably maybe even see it as a way to shape your career. That okay, I see footballers, I watch TV now, and then you just be like, is that not Obafemi Martins? All those times when I always look at them and be like, is that not Yakubu? All those players that, you know, play for Nigeria, and then you just feel like, I want to be like this now. But they don't know the good side to it. They feel like education is the primary thing that you need to study, read your book. So that's the only thing. But whatever reason, like whatever thing they are punishing you for, they are spanking you for, they don't give you detailed explanation or reasons. So John Loju, like, well, I already
You already introduced yourself. Fine.
I was going to narrow this to you.
Right.
So were there similarities from this analogy or this illustration that probably maybe you picked up, and maybe you were inquisitive, or you just felt like, why am I being punished because of this? Or was it that maybe they will tell you that, okay, this is why I'm beating you, or this is why you did this, or this is what you did, and this is why I punished you?
Okay, so like it's my personal experience, right?
Yeah.
So I'm Oluwajomloju. And I am a student and a freelancer. I'm a product manager by profession.
So don't go freelancer.
Sorry.
No, go on.
Funny guy. So, when it comes to the conversation of fear and respect, in my personal context,
Yeah.
I would say, well, I'm blessed to have like really great parents, and I mean that in the most non-cliche form. They are great parents, because what you said, in retrospect, in the conversation you had there, or in the monologue you had there, was that you have parents who are okay. She said you have parents who are trying to train their kids to be something that they were not.
Yeah.
And then you were saying there are parents who are beating their children from a point of they did it to me, right? So I don't ever think that it is inherently in the character of a father or a mother, a parent, to want to do evil or wickedness. Not to go scriptural, but the Bible even alludes to this fact that in the comparison between your parents and God, that God being so just and loving, you who are evil people, you wouldn't give your child stone for bread.
How much more him?
How much more?
And-
So in
yeah.
that context, we see a translucence of how that even we as human beings, being flawed, being imperfect, when it comes to the dynamic, the relational dynamic between parents and children,
Yeah.
there is that almost inherent compassion. This
Yeah.
is your child, this is your
Yeah.
offspring.
Yeah.
And so in cases where you see parents almost viscerally inflicting harm, or just expressing themselves from a point of whether insecurity or upbringing or their past,
Yeah, yeah.
you kind of find it hard to reconcile why that is the case. And I think largely it's because, funny enough, I was having this conversation with someone about a day or two ago, is that almost psychologically, it's almost biological, honestly, to, as human beings, see something and become that thing. In other words, what we see is largely what we become.
Yeah.
It's not about whether you like it or not. There are people who grew up from dysfunctional families where the father beats the child, the wife.
Yeah, yeah.
The father beats
Real.
the mother, right? The husband beats the wife. And they were distraught from that dysfunctional home. The kids would cry, whatever it was. They had that experience, and they swore by their God that they would never lay a hand on
Yeah,
their wife.
yeah.
But track down the years past, and
find
you
it so-
see the same thing
Yeah.
playing
Yeah,
out.
that came out.
in that same situation.
You see that thing play out. It's because what we see is largely what we become.
Yeah.
And I think that, okay, to bring it back home, because the question is about if I can relate to that. There are contexts in my growing up, my upbringing, where I had, so my dad is a chill guy, a very chill guy, and my mom was a very strong person.
Chill in the sense that it doesn't beat you every time.
He wasn't really the
But he
beating
still
guy. He wasn't really the beating guy. He didn't have the energy for that. He was too busy for that. But he was very present father, and he
Okay.
would correct us in the way he thought it was.
Okay.
I think that, like, parents who think that the only tool for correction is a whip are probably very flawed. The analogy of, okay, this is a table, for instance, and to get this table to what it was from timber that it was, you have wood, you have materials, I think you have wheels,
screw.
metal.
Yeah.
And what did you use to assemble this together? You probably have a bunch of tools. You have a hammer, you have a plier, you have a screwdriver. To say that a hammer is what you will use to construct this is wrong, is flawed, because a hammer can't do the job of a screw. So there are cases where you would need to beat a child. There are moments in growing up in upbringing that you need to beat a child.
Yeah.
There are moments in growing up that you would have to speak to a child. For instance,
Yeah.
to me, it would never make sense why a child would be beaten because he came third in class, right? Or because he failed. It's like,
That's because you've grown to a point. Because when you were still young, you felt that you need to do certain things in the way that your parents
to
will
earn their
please- to
approval,
earn
right?
their
And
approval.
it's very flawed, because a child like that grows up to feel like they are very performative. They grow up to usually be performative, meaning that what they do is how they are accepted. It's by what they do that they're accepted. Look, you can be my child and be an Olulu child, but you're still my child. You can be my child and be a very brilliant child, but that's not why you're my child. You're my child and I accept you as my child. I would love you to tend to this, to brilliance, or to invest in yourself, being productive, being the best that you can be, because I love you and I see what you can become.
Yeah.
And the problem usually is that, like, to go to allude to what you said, most of these things are not usually spelled out. It's always get first, be the why were you second? The person that has the house first, does he have two heads? That kind of thing. And then you see that you
He has two heads, though. He has
probably
two heads.
does sometimes,
He
but
probably has a lesson teacher that is
Because
that is giving
I
him
mean,
extra coaching or something.
yeah, like secondary school for me was very intense. Like, you had people that there's no rebook you can read. They are look, you're not your mates.
Yeah.
But that's by the way. So those kind of kids through that atmosphere, you fast track and you see that maybe as undergraduates or tilting towards a graduate lifestyle, they are chasing something that they don't understand. You want to be first class. Why do you want to be first? Why do you want to be first class student? Why? They can't give you an example. They just know that they have to be on edge. They have been conditioned through training to be performative, and I think that's one of the flaws that goes into why a child will act out of fear. Or maybe the dynamic between parent and child is very crazy. The power struggle is crazy. Like the way your parents see you as a child is different way a child sees it. That's why your parents say, "Talk to me now. Talk to me. Say your mind." It's like, you get it? It's crazy. So I think sometimes parents are almost birthing on their children things that they have assimilated unconsciously or consciously. So it's crazy. But yeah, I had best parents, and I can relate to some parts.
So thank you, Jamiloju. So drawing from what you said, I think there was a point where you said that. Oh, I think lastly when you mentioned that there are certain times when your parents would ask you that, okay, talk to me. Like I want to know what's going on with you. But then they had already, planted the seed of fear in you that seemed like I don't know what to say. Like if I say this, won't I get a negative feedback? Because there are certain times when, imagine now, maybe your parents, or even maybe for me now, I was hearing someone also saying that they've never, ever, I think the person is probably maybe in his late 20s or thereabouts, so that never has been a time that either of his parents asked him anything about maybe his girlfriend or who is dating and all of that. You just feel like at a point you need to just have it already figured. So you get, because many of them, they never also had parents that were that they had time for conversations. They always had that feeling that to bash at a day time this thing would happen, like this lead to this, and it becomes very difficult for children, for kids, and when they grow up, it limits their level of expressiveness. Like they really don't know how to express certain things to other people. And would you say that because earlier you mentioned that your own upbringing wasn't of the best also, like you had certain experiences that probably led from fear and some other things, I think, and then you also mentioned certain things about discipline, that it's not that maybe you are disciplining the child based on what you want, like based on what you feel that, okay, I want this child to learn, but I want this child to also make certain mistakes. But then you love the child, you are doing it out of love and out of the fact that you want to have a level of connection with that child. But then culturally now, using Yoruba as the context now, because we're all Yorubas here, and not to be biased to any other tribe or culture, but looking at it based on the lens of the culture that we are in right now, do you feel that African parents, they always try to imbibe maybe traditional methods, or probably things that they grew up with, things that maybe the things that they see in other kids or in other families or households, they want to indoctrinate it in their own family? I was hearing John Loju say earlier that they will say that that person does he have two words, because you hear those comparisons like a lot. You hear it. Like growing up, that thing usually make me very annoyed when my parents start asking me that, why were you not forced? And I'm trying to give maybe reasons, but I don't know how to say it, because they always try and lord everything over you. Like they hardly give you the time to even see anything, like conjure. So it's very difficult. I was hearing John the way he was talking earlier, it's different from the way he used to be expressive some years back. Okay. And wait.
Let me give
sorry.
Backstory.
The reason being that there are some kids that is until when they've left a space,
a certain phase
that they are able to express themselves better. Like they usually are this probably timid quiet, reserved, introverted, and you hardly can tell that is this person just pretending. But when you are now close to those people, you get to know them better. Do you think that those things they have in a way maybe they've limited the ability or the functionality that some of these people, like these kids, can have
Can
in
express
society, yeah, in
themselves.
terms of expressiveness, in terms of maybe public speaking and all that. Like, do you think that it has limited how people can be able to, relate with other people based on this level of discipline that many parents would usually
Okay,
exhibit?
makes sense.
Yeah, remember, I wanted
Now,
Rema to go
just
for it.
understand.
I wanted
Yeah,
Rema to go
it
for
was
it.
a very
Okay.
fast question.
Personality is developed by two things: genetics and exposure.
Okay.
Exposure regards environment, the people you talk to, the places you go, the school you went to, the kind of people you sit with, your friends, and the likes like that. And that comes evolving in different stages and phases of life based on
Okay.
the stage you are in. For example, 0 to 3 years is a formative stage, and whatever the child is seeing, by default the child is becoming at that stage. But we cannot deny the genetics of the temperament that flows from the mother and the father that also flow through the child, because the child practically lives with them every day. He sees them, he sees the conversation, he sees the gentle father, he sees the Lord father and everything.
My
so
Lord.
so those formative years, every of their sense organ is picking it. Their eyes, their ears, so they are looking at you. I mean, let me cite this example. So one day I just saw my toddler. I have a toddler, by the way. I saw him. He put something on the floor and he said, "Ee,
That's from mommy.
Oh, really? Oh, right.
One day he did something. He spilled his food on the floor. And I was like, "Ee." I did not know he picked it, just that one. So
Wow.
just that once he
That's
picked it instantly.
amazing.
And since then, if anything falls down, he'll be like, "Ee." I'll not be looking at him that it's just once that you ate this thing and it has literally become
It worked.
part of
Yeah,
you.
Yeah.
It was from that day I began to tell myself that it seems that I have to tread more
Very-
carefully.
a lot more carefully.
So that
And
age,
how old is it, your toddler, by the way?
a year and 3 months.
Okay.
Wow.
That age, that formative age, they pick that temperament. But
Okay.
then what you now do with them at that formative age now is now what at the end of the day become either their mental struggles or what they can
There are points of strength.
exactly. So for example, now imagine me beating him for breaking our television. Eventually things like television becomes a big deal to him, because he feels that if I could beat him over breaking a television, that means the television is important than him.
Okay, so sorry to cut you in. I'm not saying that, okay, maybe you're corroborating what I'm like, maybe you spanking the child or beating the child unnecessarily, but then do you feel that, okay, there are certain ways or certain things that maybe the child will do that you have to, also beat? It's not everything, just like John Lojo said earlier, that it's not like maybe you are generalizing everything. Like, our parents, they would always want to beat us. Like everything. It's just like there's no particular thing, like no filter. It's always cane. Like that's the go-to thing. But looking at you now, for instance, like you see your toddler now, and he probably maybe is just a bit cranky, and then he's just tapping on mommy, like just shouting unnecessarily and whining and all of that. Do you, maybe in that instance now, what would your reaction
I
be?
approach
Yeah, how would
it?
you approach those kind of instances? Because there are some people that in everything, like because of the trauma that they've had, the PTSD about them being caned, they are averse to it. Like they can never stand it. So they will even go to a point. I was telling Jomiloju right before we even started this that I was somewhere, and I saw this little child one time, and his mom was seated. I think he was probably maybe 2 or 3 years old, and then the next thing I saw him do was that he was trying to yank off bra or something. He wanted to suck breast at 2 years,
Instinctive
or
nature.
3 years, and
That's
then I was
instinctive.
wondering that why, like, at what
That
level
that comes
should-
naturally.
you understand? And the mother was just looking at him that stop it. Like me, the way I was feeling,
What
that
in
I
your
wanted
leg,
to-
baby?
you understand? I
You wanted to beat him for her.
I wanted to beat him for her.
Wow.
Like I wanted to.
You are the parents you are talking
I wanted
about.
to use that.
You are the
I wanted
parents
to
you should
use
be
that.
careful of.
So looking at that now, because there are certain things that you see
Right.
in kids. The Bible, of course, you guys were quoting the Bible earlier. Imagine, the Bible also said that foolishness abounds in the heart of kid, and it's the rod that used to drive it out. You know, when you see kids exhibit certain behavior, and then you just feel like, imagine now the mother, because of the way she was saying that stop it, didn't make the kid stop it. You have to do something that will probably make that child know that, oh yeah, this
What
is
you are
not,
doing
this
is
is
not
not,
good.
yeah, what I'm doing is not good. You know, of course, but because she didn't have that, she didn't have that ideology, or she didn't just think that that's the next thing. She just kept on telling the child that stop it, but the child didn't stop it. Not until when other people, you know, Yorubas, our families, so that anything about italo or hair, they'll say that you go and learn outside. So it was even the people that were around that had to hold that kid, and then you saw the mother that at what point that this child is still doing this. So are there instances when you see that your 1 year and 18 months 18 months or thereabout, was it
3
18
months.
18
18 months is far.
1 year
3 months.
and 3 months old, yeah, son, when you see him, are there times when you see him and maybe he does something and you just feel like maybe at this point I need to beat him or correct him in light to using
Okay,
the rod?
bringing a balance to all the story I was sharing. The reason I was sharing those background stories is to give us a layer of how people grow up naturally, and how people pick personalities and things in the society.
Okay.
That is not to excuse that when a child needs spanking and conversation, you should not do it.
Sure.
But the place where I think psychologically I practically have issues with parenting technique is how you bring a balance to those things. For example, I was citing the issue of a television breaking and me not spanking him. The reason is not because I cannot spank him for doing something bad.
Okay.
But if I'm spanking him, am I telling him that what you just did is not good? And that's not because I don't love you, but that's because you don't just spoil things anyhow.
True.
Am I telling my child the reason I'm doing it? And even before doing it, am I also filtering my thoughts as parents?
Yeah.
That this thing that my child do now, that I want to beat my child for, is it because of my ego,
Yeah.
or because of what or who or the value system I'm instilling
Instilling
into the
in him.
child,
Yeah.
Okay.
that the child is becoming into the society?
Okay.
If we can get clarity on answering ourselves and this thing, I don't see a reason why. Then if you are spanking, how are you spanking too?
True.
That
Some
did-
do it to the extreme.
You get, there's something they just days they no go open, child no go chop, they will call me, they will say they fast, they will use that to cover up. It's just an example.
Yeah.
But then if I'm going to do that, I can remember my husband was citing an example of how whenever they do something bad, their mom will put them somewhere and put Bible in their hand. Then you go read that Bible from head to toe. That helps
There was when
because
I heard that he would write the whole book of Psalms.
that's what some people do. I mean, and it helps because now we see them as adults in the society that can quote scriptures well. That maybe to some extent they steal some, but I mean, they are passing something or something. What I'm trying to say is that it has to be something for something.
Okay.
It has to be punishment versus reinforcement.
Sure.
So you have to understand the difference between when you should punish a child
When you should
and,
reinforce
and
something.
when you should reinforce.
So let
the
me ask
child.
you, to what extreme level can you say you want to punish your child?
To a level where you've consistently warned the child and the child refused to listen. An example, whenever you want to eat, my baby, talk food, I gave him a good sound that can help you to relate because of his, then you have to talk based on their age range.
Okay.
You have to understand that the level of their age so has influence on their character.
Yeah, sure.
So food, you not talk. Food, you just carry me from nowhere to the kitchen every day. No, you can talk this thing. And one day we were just in the kitchen and randomly you just said fufu. I said, so you can say this thing. This is that I've been saying since. The second time he did it, the second time he now came, don't drag my hand. Oga, open your mouth and talk. He did not say anything, he was dragging my hand. And I'll carry his hand. 1, 2, fufu, let's go into the kitchen. So it's you understanding how your child is growing, understanding how you can speak to your child, and that is even if you are a present parent. Understanding how you can speak to your child. And let me just say this, I mean, there's a lot to say, but let me just balance that by saying that being a working parent,
Right.
is not a reason for you not to be present.
Mm.
Being present is not being there 24 hours.
Yeah.
Being present is when you are with them, you are genuinely with them, you are engaging, you are listening, and you're
Right.
having a conversation
Yes.
with them.
Yeah.
So you can genuinely say, oh, I spent 20 minutes with you, and that 20 minutes, this was what we were able to achieve as parents. The moment you're able to establish that, it will be easy for you to build that bond between you and your kids. And when you build that bond between you and your kids, for you to discipline them, it will be something that they know that they've done something bad.
True.
Yeah, sure,
Because they know
sure,
you
sure,
love
sure.
them.
Right.
Sure.
Or you've never been present, they will not know anything.
True.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it will be easy for them to understand love and what you are taking above them.
Right.
So-
brilliant.
Yeah, very, very good, very brilliant.
That's brilliant.
You know, most of our formative years are always with our parents at home. Probably maybe till when you transition to the higher institution and then you leave the house. And before you get to that crossroad and decide that okay, you want to go on your own, not even go on your own for instance, but then you just want to, you are still under their umbrella,
Right.
but then you are out of the house. Because many people would quote that I'm free. That once they leave the house and they are in higher institution, they're already free. So, casting my mind back now to the period when I also got admitted into higher institution, University of Ibadan, by the way. And
First and best.
thank you. But we still they are still there. Wow, they are still there. But then when I got admission, I made it a thing that I was not going to go home for the next 1 year. And I
Why?
did that. I just wanted to have my own freedom.
Okay.
That was not that maybe I emphasized
Taste
on
of
it.
life.
I just wanted my freedom.
Your independence,
Like my
yeah.
independence. Not like maybe I was independent in the whole sense because
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
still getting stipends. But
Yeah,
just
sure.
that thing of, I don't want to have that
Be under
thing.
somebody
You
that will
understand?
tell
I don't
you
I don't
what-
want to
yeah.
I don't want to
You already had a
I don't
sense
want
of
to
it's a control system.
You get
and
it.
you don't want to be under
get
anybody's control. You want to begin to make decisions for yourself.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Like Jomi, you're getting my point. You're getting my point.
I'm
now.
listening, I'm following you.
Do you think that when a child or at that level
Yeah.
leaves the house, they've built a sense of wall around the level that they can be afraid of their parents. When you are growing, you were built or you grew from the level of my parents are trying to instill discipline on me based on fear, and they always maybe try and correct you based on the premonition or maybe their own past experiences and all that. But do you feel that at the point when you are leaving the house,
Right.
there's just that level of I'm free, I can be able to do things on my own? Like you don't have a sense of not fear at all, but you don't have this sense of you just don't have fear anymore. Like you don't have any form of fear based on that thought that you've left the umbrella of your parents.
Are you asking if do I have a sense of fear after leaving, after getting
Yes.
freedom?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, I think it's important that at a certain level of growth or development of a child, you need that freedom. You need to be able to be your person. There's a certain level of
Sorry, Jomi, that actually it's not like it doesn't work for everyone this way, because there are certain people too that while they're even still in school,
Right.
their parents still have this lord over them.
Sure,
Like
sure.
they always control them.
Yeah.
It calls all the
Understand.
incessant calls that
Yeah.
you get. Okay,
Yeah.
come and meet me here. Let me take you to class.
True.
Or maybe they are waiting for you after your class and
Let me
saying that,
take
let
you
me take
to
you back to
jam.
the hostel.
Let me take you
Yeah,
to
also,
jam.
there was this particular friend of mine that he was an old friend though. When I was in 100 level, he was staying at home. He was coming from home because he couldn't get a hostel. So his mother would make it her own duty to come and pick him once he's done with the class. So whenever he's done like that, she would just drive us alongside him to our hostel. So it was always our free ride back to the hostel. Then she would now take him home.
Right.
And sometimes she would buy lunch for us. But she just still had this lord over
This
him.
control
like
over him.
control.
Yeah.
Like over, despite the fact that he was in higher institution.
Yeah.
But then there are some kids that they will be the ones to say their parent that, see, daddy, you cannot be doing this to me. I cannot be. You understand? But they also withdraw certain things from you because they've already lost some sense of control over you.
Okay.
Because you demand it.
Okay. I'll get to the fear and freedom
Okay,
thing, but
all right.
to touch on what you just mentioned, the point is that whether your parents still call you or are still very present or controlling at a point of freedom, say your undergraduate years. The point is that this landscape is still very different from when you were fully under their roof, right? So the idea is, for the first time in your life, you are with people that are not your family members in the hostel, for instance. That's a level of freedom. You are making decisions. You can, for the first time, decide not to even have a bath in the day, which was that you had like a culture in the home, and now you are somewhere else. Yeah, they can have calls, but the point is that there's a delta to the influence that they can now have on you. You can be out in the night, one of those, and they will call you and you say, I'm at home. You can stop. So to a level, there's an autonomy that you still have or possess. And I think it's important in just development, because everybody needs to come to their person. Now, that being said, the question was about if at that level you can still operate from a place of fear to your parents. And I think it's possible. It's possible, but it's obviously very detrimental, because sometimes, personally, I don't feel that fear is a very useful tool. I think fear is a very negative emotion. I think that if I had, there was fire, for instance, burning, and I know not to put my hand inside fire, I shouldn't have a relationship with fire as fear. If not, I won't be able to cook. I won't be able to do things with fire. Right? There is a level that you say that if I'm instilling fear into this child, it's wrong. What you said was very important in terms of reinforcement. I feel that at a certain level, I need to be the man that I can be, or the person that I can be, the adult that I can be, to be able to call the shots and live on with life. For instance, now, going through school, there were things that I knew that my parents liked and disliked. But with maturity, I need to understand with closure, okay, why do I think this way? Why do my parents believe this? And I'm like I said, I was graced or blessed to have parents that I think were very good with handling parenting. I think parenting is a very important thing that people generalize or just gloss over. It's important, but we don't understand how important it is. It's a skill. Parenting is an actual skill. It's not good parents. Good people are not necessarily good parents. Right. It's like saying good. I'm a good person doesn't mean I'm a good photographer or I'm a good videographer. It's a skill. So it's interesting that people don't pay attention to the skill sets that requires to be a parent. Parents to forge the mindset of an unborn, of an infant, to become their person, to navigate through that tension. For instance, one of my mentors will say that, okay, with his child, right, he has this very young 7-year-old guy, and he's trying to work with like a confidence thing. He's noticed that maybe from genetics, like what our psychologist was explaining, some things of nature and nurture, this guy has a tendency to be quiet, to be meek. So to carve that thing out, I will put him in scenarios that would bring out a boldness that you get. So I'm not trying to do that from a place of fear. I'm not trying to, why you quiet? Talk now. You get, it's not a useful tool to impute fear into people. And it's unfortunate that most adults are at a stage in maybe their middle 20s. They are still carrying on that baggage of fear. Do you understand? I don't think you should be working in the midnight just randomly. But you can see adults feeling like once it's 7 p.m., they need to leave. Why? 7 p.m. 7 p.m. You can.
Or those that are aversive towards night traveling.
You get, I will still not take night travel personally, because I don't think it's not safe personally. I just feel like, if there's daytime and I can see the road, it's best. Like, it's my personal opinion. But you get, operating from a place of fear is so real that even at your adulthood, you can still be operating from a place of fear. And that has to do with a lot of learned things that you have learned, things that she was saying about like with her toddler, for instance, things that she has learned. So you beat a child for TV that has broken, like he broke the TV fine, but he will grow up to be that kind of person that would maybe beat his child for stuff like breaking glass, breaking stuff. He would value it, he would hold it in such a possession that even his wife is so comfortable with it. You get, it's an acculturation that we have to be very mindful of. So I don't want to spread too much but I think I touched around like the fear freedom thing.
So some 20-30 years ago, the way discipline was incorporated, it was kind of corporal. You punish a child based off on different levels. Maybe you tell the child to kneel down, or you take a wire, or you stone the child, maybe a slippers, or you use broom sometimes, because it depends on the level at which they are angry. I mean, our parents. And I was just thinking back to, look at that period. It seemed like it was just when, like,
Just
come
like
on,
yesterday
so just
now.
like a hair. And then the way everyone has evolved to a point that, all these things now feel so, it looks archaic, like it looks like something old, something that's, been long forgotten. And I just try and, maybe try and think that, wait, how did we get here? Like, how did we get to a point when parents don't really see anything much in beating a child? Like, you have to speak, or you just, maybe there are other levels of ways. I don't think anybody here, including those that are seated right here and are listening to us, I don't think anyone were treated such a way that, you see your parent and you be like, no, it's nice words. Or maybe your parents sit you down and then they are talking to you and saying that, see the way we are talking now. And then, some people tell you that is when you have conversations with them, deep heart to heart conversations, that's when they actually they can resonate to what you're saying. Some people they don't
have that
understand certain things from the
opportunity.
level of, beating. Some people don't understand. Some people understood it from there, because Africans generally, that was what they grew up with. That was what our parents grew up with, and that's the way they actually instilled in us what we are. Many people grow up to become responsible citizens or
Right.
a part of society based off on some of the disciplines that they had. And then all of a sudden we just feel that, but this thing is old now. Like, come on, we need to grow up, we need to do the things better. I was if I say certain things that I did, oh my god, that's made my mom especially beat the hell out of me. So let me give you a personal experience again. So there was this particular day that my mother was in the sitting room. We had a visitor, and then I don't know where I picked it up, but then I would just randomly light the matches and then put it in my mouth and then
Nice.
just blow it out, like puff, like as though I was
It must
smoking or
be. It
something.
must be Egbon Adugbo.
I don't know. I can't remember where I picked it up, but I was just in the room and I was doing that. I'd lighted several matches, done that. And then there was this little girl, Precious. I think she was probably maybe 4 or 5 years old back then. How old was I? I think maybe I was 7 or 8.
Your cognitive is
then-
that way at that time.
Yeah, I remember vividly. And then she just walked into the room. And then it was that act as I was blowing
Yeah.
the puff out. That was when she just saw me. And the next thing, she just did like this, put her hand to her mouth, and
you're a
ran
bad
to the sitting
boy.
room.
She did not
He
know that
ran-
I was not smoking.
She
Now, but
ran.
that was always
You understand?
the picture.
That was the
Someone
picture.
smoking that she has always
He
seen.
ran to the living room and shouted, "Mommy, Uncle Laolu is smoking." Yeah. She called. I was slightly older than her, but then she
Right.
just had respect for me, and then she just said that. No, she said, "Brother Laolu, no."
I'm wondering because Uncle
Brother Laolu,
is stretch.
then Brother Laolu is smoking matches in the room. God. I tried to chase her, but there was a point when I could not.
Yeah.
So the moment I had her already reporting me, I just withdrew. And then I quickly tried to arrange everywhere as though nothing happened.
So arrange the
I
crime
opened the
scene.
windows.
The fear was already.
to remove all evidences.
I was already afraid. Like the
Right.
fear was evident.
Sure.
And when I saw my mother walking in, she was already walking in with cane. With, I think she was holding like 2 cane or so. Like,
She was well armed.
She was well
I was
armed.
going for war. She ain't gonna let her slide.
You can imagine. And then I was just, at that point, the moment I looked at her, I knew that I was done. Like I was done for.
Today.
Like she was going to beat, and she did beat me. I sprawled on the ground for several minutes, and afterwards, but that single
Yeah.
act that she did, it's gave me that it. Not, I don't want to use the word it. It looks like a strong word, but then
It
I
gave
like
you-
it
it
gave
gave
me
you-
that dislike test. Yeah, that dislike
Okay.
for anything that has to do with cigarettes.
Okay.
Because of that thing that she did. Some might have it the other way.
That's a good thing for
But yeah, you say that. You can say that.
Yeah,
That probably maybe that was a good thing. But
yeah.
how did you now get to a point that you hardly can, you hardly see all those things, and then you just feel like, maybe I should beat this child. Even as African parents, as African children, as we were, you hear different. Is it auto tune of cries?
Yeah.
You hear different from the next house. You hear this one. Yeah,
Everybody singing their melody. Different keys, man.
Different keys.
Check with they don't they give them.
And you can probably even tell
My
why
thoughts and prayers with him.
you understand? And your parents will actually even be happy that
My child cries more. So you know it's going to be a good son.
they're already afraid.
Man, that was toxic time.
Oh, God.
You go of someone else's tears.
Don't
You're already afraid that
years of
And then when you walk to school the next day, you all pretend like you don't know what happened last night. Like, bro, as if you're not the one that was crying. You're stopping the other to go. We couldn't sleep because of you. But on Monday morning, bro, how you doing now? Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Man, that was something, man.
Like you hear all of that, and but now we've gotten to a stage where you know I don't want to say I miss those moments.
You miss those days?
But looking at it in hindsight, I think many of us, because if I cast my mind back to some of the kids that we grew up together, they have become better off based on some of those disciplines and all that. And now we are at the point where you hardly hear of kids that they get beaten. But how do we get to this point? Like, at what point was the crossroad?
Do you hear of kids that don't get beaten?
Yes.
Kids that hardly get like in the African context.
Yes, there are kids that
you can't
don't
beat.
beat them at all.
There are some schools that if a teacher beats the child, that teacher will be sacked or something.
In Nigeria.
Yes.
So I don't know. I think so. In one context, like I said, the thing of the building, assembling something, you have different tools for different applications. So on one hand, you can't be beating a child anyhow. It's not useful to beat a child for every offense.
Yeah.
On one hand, because the reason why you cannot beat a child for every offense is because there are some things that are better resolved through dialogue, through communication.
Yeah.
As an adult, I'm not thinking that if I have a disagreement with you, if me and you are fighting, the next thing is to beat you. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So if if parents are growing children to feel that the consequence for every miswrong or every disparity of action or every wrongdoing is violence,
yeah.
intense, that negatively informs the mindset of a growing adult, right? So that's because there are things that can be done better with dialogue.
Yeah.
But in other contexts, there are things that, you should be the child. It's not dialogue that will solve it. If I see a very, like, I won't say cancerous, but no good to talk. But if I see a very bad behavior, a bad trait that I'm trying to correct, I need to punish it. There are some things that need punishment. There are things that need correction. There are things that need reinforcement. So if I want to punish something, I'm not punishing it because I'm trying to, for instance, I'm not a parent, but I can imagine that there are some things that your child will do. Like, children really test your patience. Yeah, like a testing ground for you. So the things that they will do, it's not that, I love you, but I want to correct you. So come, let me give you two strokes of it. No, he really paid you for 4 months on me. So, do you know what? So, and this is just a child. This is just somebody that is so ignorant and everything.
Yeah.
So you almost want to beat the child out of a fulfillment of your anger.
Yeah.
You get there's that point. There's that point of I think that line that parents cross where they are beating a child just to fulfill their anger.
So how do we get to a point where parents are more informed now? Like probably maybe
I think it's just like you said, I think it's just a process of evolution through time. People are learning. The millennials who were the children of the boomers or the Gen X are now have gotten more insight. They're having podcasts like this now.
Thank you.
So yes, like our lovely mom here. Like they're getting more understanding and learn experiences. Okay, they beat me through this, but this is something that I think could be better worked on. I want to have this with my. I know there are parents. We have parents that their parents that so our grandparents never told our parents I love you. Like they never heard it from their mom, their dad, that I love you. And it's like
it was like a big word.
That's why we have some husbands that never tell their wives I love you.
Like I love you. You never said you love your child.
You yourself, you can't tell your parents that because you
can't tell.
You seem like very weird.
I love you, dad. Like it's so awkward. You get it's like, bro. Well, the dad one I can understand because, bro, no. But then, like, you get the point. Like, you don't want to be in a position where you are so paralyzed. And it's not because you don't want to say I love you. It's just because you cannot.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in that position where, and I think that's what this generation of parents are doing well, that they can move out of that, maybe I'll call it that toxic trait, to be able to like foster a generation in love and everything. Because you know that for the development of a child, like a rounded development of a child, and she'll probably allude to this better, that they are components of masculinity, femininity, care, love, tenderness, gentleness, but also instruction, strictness. You get that cooks up a child well. So you want to be able to dispatch all of that and not just feel like you're the one that is just the beating police officer, or you're the one that is just saying it's fine, it's fine. You want to be strict on the things that you should be. You want to be having like you're cutting your edges right with the kids.
Yeah.
So I say I'm talking as if I have a child. So
That's
yeah,
right.
Get it there.
so with that, I'm really glad that, I mean, if you say that parents are beating their children less, yeah, it's not necessarily a good thing to celebrate. Like, okay, but it's kind of I think it's a function of an understanding, a progressive understanding that they're getting right now.
Okay.
That things are better done without the rod. For instance, maybe just to sum up, I have a girlfriend, and I love how her parents like modeled parenting.
Discipline. Okay.
Right, especially discipline too, because like I said, parenting is a skill. You're not just a good person and then you become a good parent. It's a skill set, and most people are oblivious to that, the set of skills that are required for you to be a good parent.
Yeah.
And for her, their model of discipline looked like you only got beaten for two things: for being disobedient or lying. Why? Because they want to be able to empower you to the point of making mistakes. Because the whole point of childhood is that you can make a lot of mistakes without grave consequences and learn from them.
Okay.
So you want to be learning from your mistake. You can't be in a world where you get everything right. So as humans, you cannot get everything right.
Nobody is there.
So you need to learn that when you kick your leg on that thing, when you touch that thing, there's a consequence for it, right? So you want to empower you to make mistakes.
And you're thinking futuristic.
So you're not making a child that is a coward, or making a child that is timid, or making a child that cannot go out by 6 p.m. You guys know. But in the same way, they also want to correct things that
teaching them life coping skills.
Yeah, in the same way, they also want to correct things that they feel like for them is a hard line. Things like disobeying or lying. Why should you lie? Do you get? In that kind of system, you grow a child who doesn't need to lie. They did something wrong, maybe not in a form of affront, but I'm sorry, I did this. There's no need to lie. There's no need to steal. There's no need to do all those kind of things. So I think, I'm glad to hear that, but that's also something to be thinking about.
All right, Rema, do you want to say something about this?
I'll just say that we are evolving, knowledge is increasing, and as much as we have a lot of good side and bad sides to whether African parenting is this and that, there's also a place of balance that comes with it.
Okay.
They didn't know. They wish they had known better too. And we are here too, we know. And one of the psychological truths I tell people is that whenever there is a problem, is because there's going to be a solution.
Right.
And in the midst of every solution, another problem is arising.
Yeah, sure.
So as much as we are saying we are evolving and we have some children that are not beating and things like that, there's also a problem in that place. And we have some children that are beating, there's also a problem in that place.
But would you say that based on that outlook now, that kids are more well disciplined, unlike back then, or kids are, or it's the other way around?
I don't think they are disciplined. I think they are more firm. And the reason they are firm is because there's something we call conditioning. So you are beating a child because the child you are scolding knows that whatever I do has a conditioning that comes with it. That a beating, a thorough one, like that one of your cigarettes where you talk, it's not cigarette, but it's matches. That you said now that so whenever you remember that conditioning, that a cane is attached to just that ordinary matches, it scares you off. And you will not go back there. So that's a conditioning right there. And because there's a conditioning to it, you will not try it. For some people that there's no conditioning to it, they might feel at some point in their life that I can do whatever I like.
Exactly.
It's not like my parents will ever take any radical this thing to it. But it's just like I said, a place of balance. And that can only be gotten when your belief system is rooted in Christ.
True.
When you have a belief system that brings balance to your lifestyle, to your thought process, it will be very easy for you to know where correction should come in, where punishment should come in, and when thorough beating.
But these are our parents that usually beat us. They're also Christians, so
That's why I said belief system, which is level of knowledge that many of us are opportune, and ideologies that we are opportune by default to get to know. For example, now a mother who knows the only way to punish a child is giving the child Bible. That's what she knows. A father who says the only thing I can just beat you with koboko, that's what he knows. Another parent that says I can use koboko, I can use talk, I
Yeah.
can use grounding you. I
Yes.
can use collecting your phone. I can use different tactics.
Yeah.
That's also what you know. Eventually, everything that has to do with fear versus respect
Yeah.
is based on what the parent knows, the ideologies they are aware of, what they are hoping, and based on the reason they are doing what they are doing.
True.
Are they healed parents too? Are they doing from the place of the value system they are instilling into the child? Are they giving the child the reasons? Are they aware of parenting skills like Jomiloju said?
Yeah.
Are they aware of those things? Once you are aware, definitely you don't have to be perfect. Perfection is just like you want to give yourself a headache. Is you get to, before you know, you get to people pleasing. But you understanding what are you, what was that child made of? That's number one. That your child, why is that child on earth? Number two, how are you showing love to that child that that child can show love to the society? Love is not a perfect thing, it's a verb, but it's a continuous process.
Yeah,
Is it seeing
sure.
your patience? Is it seeing your meekness? Is it seeing your joy?
Yeah.
That your joy is not attached to when screen spoil, when there's no petrol,
Sure.
or maybe when there's no food stuff in the house.
Yeah.
And your wife, you are now fighting, you know, give me money. Those things, it's seeing those things. How you are showing those love is definitely how it will show up
Yeah.
in the society. The moment you can bring this three sum up, who is becoming, who you are, and how you show up to the society.
Who is becoming who you are and how you showing up in the society. Very brilliant, very brilliant. So I think we are wrapping up. We're wrapping up. And looking at respect. Respect is I believe that respect is how you are able to make that child act, even not just maybe when you are the parent you are there, but how is also able to act outside of the house, when he's amongst strangers, when he's amongst his peers, when he's amongst older people. And outside of fear, what would it look like in a healthy, or what would that kind of respect look like in a healthy parent relationship? Now, for instance, what I mean by that is, you as we when we were growing up, we always had this, it's flight mode. You can't, it's fear of flight. You definitely can't have a mind of your own, of yourself. You have to run it by your parents. There's always this thing in African homes when they give you side eye. I want to use another part of discipline. Hardly I even see side eyes anymore. Parents doing like this, and then you are wondering that you can't even wonder. You already know what they are saying. So what would respect look like in a healthy parent relationship? Outside, okay, yeah, I think we are already uh, leaning away from the angle of fear now, for instance, from all that we've been saying. But what would a healthy parent relationship look like as it concerns respect, when we are trying to remove that fear factor from them? Like we were saying now, you don't want the kid to always go out there to go and talk to their friends, and maybe they are not talking to you about certain things that they are facing because they feel that they don't know how you're going to react being their parent. But how is that something that the parents can be able to understand and help that kid to be able to come and meet them and tell me, okay, what's wrong with you? How are you doing? Hardly do I have my parents. Okay, maybe my father once in a while, but then not in detail. They tell me, or just ask me randomly that about on the school, how is school? Like nothing more than that, and then just that's fine, because there are times when I probably want to say more, but then he has already zoned out. You understand? So I'm trying to be kind of better for my younger ones, my younger brother. I don't have a son or a child, but then I'm just trying to learn from that, trying to be that kind of just have that healthy kind of relationship with him, trying to understand all the things that, okay, yeah, this is what he's facing, and probably not having not go outside to go and talk to other people about it. But how would you relay all of this in the context of respect? Like you want to have some
That
level of
respect.
respect in a healthy parent-child relationship. Remember,
She's
let me
the-
use
she's the parent.
let me use Jomiloju as narration that will make it so easy for us to come to.
Okay.
Yeah. What's that 2-3 things you would practically say you've seen in your parents that you really, really want to emulate?
Okay, I know they love each other. I know they love each other. But okay, to emulate like in my own future home, yeah, I know they love each other. I know that they can converse. So there is not this thing of there's a problem in the house. There's not a big issue that they cannot talk
They
to.
communicate.
Right? I know there are some people, it's very weird to say, but some people don't know how to converse.
Some people are finding out to have hard conversations.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
can't have hard conversations. And I know that if they are how do I put this? I want to say they're intellectual, but they also have empathy. They have empathy to not just we as children, like me and my siblings, but to other people. They can relate to the problems of people and see how they can help. Yeah, those are the three things.
But you know, this empathy of a thing is quite funny to me because they never had that empathy when I was at that age. But right now, they have that empathy.
Yes,
I look at my younger brother and I see the way they treat him.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering sometimes it's.
Are you the first child?
I won't say, yeah, I'm the first child.
So yeah, you're in
So,
the same. You're in the same. You're in the same blessing.
I would say it annoys me.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, I'm trying to correct this young man, like my younger brother now. And then my parents are like, you are too hard on this boy. I'm like,
too young.
you're hard on
Like,
me. What?
So guess what?
See, sorry. I haven't said more than 3 words. And then my father is already responding on his behalf. And I'm like, I'm not talking to you now, daddy. Like, I'm trying to talk to this young man. Like, let him talk for himself.
Let him
You
speak for
understand?
himself, yeah.
So
Why are you defending him?
Yeah, I get that part of empathy, but it just amazes me how they were able to
Do that to you
translate,
and now
yeah,
become.
yeah,
I think
I get the point.
for me, I can relate to that because I'm also the first child and I see things that they didn't condone or tolerate with me.
You had their first energy.
I was the guinea pig. I was the test.
You had their first energy. That's wrong.
I was the labra, like, bro, let's see. Version 1.0, what's good? Okay, this one doesn't work here. You get? And I think that, like, understanding that your parents, like, in every situation that you are in,
Yeah.
your significant other is in, and generally how we move in life, you have never been in the context that we are currently operating in.
Okay.
Your parents have never been the parent of a Laulu that is currently this age with a brother that is currently that age.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
You have never been an elder brother to your younger brother at this level who is still under. Do you get? The dynamics are always constantly
Yeah,
shifting.
changing.
So it shouldn't be so surprising that they are modifying things because they themselves are also learning on the fly. Like
That's the
Rema has never been a mother of a 2-year-old child.
Yeah.
She has been a mother of a 1-year-old child.
1-year-old,
So
yeah.
with the things will constantly change, right? And then when you now in retrospect now say, but you guys, well, that time we didn't know much, but now we do. So it's just a testament to their level of growth and everything. But I don't want to spread too much. We're saying something.
So you seen those qualities or those skills that they have? Does it make you respect them or it makes you fear them?
I go fear person we love. Yeah, sure. It definitely. I'm not going to butter up and say that everybody that is always the best dad in the world and best mom in the world. I don't think that's a lie.
Of course, there's family dynamics.
They're not the best. I don't know. I didn't say they're the best, but they have their parts. They have their sides and flaws.
Sorry. There were points in my life.
Yeah.
I'm very honest, and I love my parents.
Yeah.
But there were points in my life when I was being disciplined. I'm now looking at they the ones that give birth to me. Like, you understand?
Bro.
Like, we wonder at times that we love our parents.
Yeah.
But there were certain periods
that
you just have that you have that thought that someone that loves me will not be treating me like
that's
this.
why they are human beings.
But they can't relate to you why they are doing that based on their own love, because obviously they love you, but they can't relate to you for you to understand.
Yeah.
I
lost pressure of thought there.
Okay, the reason I asked Jomiloju that question is because respect comes from what your children see you do.
Okay.
Fear comes from what they see you do, but at the same time, you are not replicating it in the right way.
Yeah.
So when you replicate it in the right way, things are definitely, it's not going to be perfect, right?
Sure.
There's family dynamics. We are all growing.
Yeah.
The things I know for my firstborn, definitely I might not do it for my secondborn.
Yeah,
And
true.
my firstborn is not going to do it for my secondborn.
Definitely.
It might even be an introvert like the father. So, but this one has taken after me. So those things, there's going to be different and everything. But the most important thing is if there is a vision that is driving the family.
Sure.
and you are focusing on the cause that you should focus on,
Yeah.
then definitely you have a functioning family.
Real.
You were going to, the question I missed out on, please, can you restate? You were trying to.
Okay, so
Okay,
I was saying that based on the, you mentioned three things when she asked you that what were the three
Yeah,
things that you can pick
Said
from?
Love,
empathy,
Love,
having
and also
conversations.
conversations. So looking at empathy now as the key word
Yeah.
from there, like, are you going to say that your parents actually translated from a period when maybe it wasn't like the word empathy was not very, very emphasized, like pronounced,
yeah.
but then at a point you just can see that wow,
They are
I never
growing.
knew, like, I'm growing in this,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
growing it.
Yeah, I think that's literally what I said. That I can see that 15-year-old me under them, they were tough. They were very, I didn't feel that they showed empathy. Because me, I was collecting cane every day for what? Just because I came to this earth as the first person. It's not my fault now. And then so obviously now things dynamic is different. Right?
Yeah.
I'm a more independent person. I'm an adult or grown adult. So there's obviously that. I don't think maybe it's empathy, but it's also maybe a respect. There's more relational respect.
Because
that,
you're not an adult. There's a report card already.
Do you
They
get?
just need to follow up the report card.
They just need to follow up. It's just consolidation at this point. Consolidation. And I think that obviously at certain levels of growth, like as children, we would feel that our parents were very strict on us when we were younger, and maybe because they had to. Maybe because
at that point,
because
the difference is knowing the point and to what extreme.
exactly, because like I said, like for an infant who is having all his neurochemicals and his prefrontal cortex developing, his brain is very malleable, neuroplasticity is at its highest.
You're going deep, bro. You're going deep. Some people might
Okay,
not
his
understand
brain
all of this.
is a small child and he's learning a lot.
All right, thank
So
you.
there are things that he's assimilating, not because he's mommy did this, I'll do that, or daddy said it's just by just milking.
He doesn't
his
even
eyes.
know if
He doesn't
it's bad
even
or
know.
not.
Do you get? So he's just observing. He's just like a reflector, like this beam reflector. He's just observing. And so at that point, you might need to be very, very, very particular, like she is, about the things that is entering, things you need to correct, things you need to be stern about, things you need to. So at that point, whether it's early age, whether it's middle teens, depending on the progression of a child, there's no manual for this is how you train a child, or this is how you train it. You get?
True,
But
true.
you can just observe through the specific context that I need to be very particular in this period. A child who is, for instance, I never was in a boarding school, but I can imagine that's a different context than being in a day school. Yeah, in a boarding school, you have the influence of your peers. Your peers are also foolish like you and doing rubbish and all that. You come home for
trying to learn.
You're being influenced with peer pressure or other thing. You come home for maybe the holidays and they see some character shit they're doing, like they won't be empathizing with you. They will give it you hard.
That's where that scripture will manifest. You must hear the child.
And they know to do that because they are careful to ensure that there's nothing that has developed in you that you now have to be praying against in the future. Let us break the something now. Let's break the camel back right now. Leave it. No. But the problem is that sometimes the challenge is that, like you said, how to do it, when to do it, the context, and sometimes can be their whole overarching view. Okay, we want to disable this child to stop this, and that's all they down focus on. Meanwhile, there are other things that are lacking that they can also help out with, or they can also focus on. So I think to say that what you said about how they transit from empathy is very context based, contextualized. It's heavy on context, heavy on situations. It's specific to situations that they find themselves, and you are growing up as a child under them.
Yeah, that's actually very profound. Yeah, I love that, because not many people understand the reason why certain things happen.
Yeah,
and they can't relate to the events that are happening now because they grew up based on certain experiences that they didn't like or they didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
And when they see it happen now, they feel like what's going on? That's why you see some people that they really can't express love. They really they don't know what love is because they were not taught the habit of love. Like they never even saw it in their family or in their household. But then they would say that, okay, I came from a good home, I came from a disciplined house. But then just that sense of love, it was very difficult for them to come by, and they start experiencing it in a very bad way. When they start living home, that's when you start hearing some people saying that maybe they have daddy issues, or they have some issues like maybe from home, because you can really relate to it based off on how they are acting out in their society.
True.
Because they lacked all those things, presence of maybe family of their dad or they didn't just have their mom that was close by.
You know,
and
it's
then-
not just the present. Let me just quickly say this: that love is not just how you feel; it is also how you act. And how you act comes from the place of kindness, comes from the place of patience, comes from the place of let's say, for example, your baby just look at somebody and just say, "Take." You know that will melt your heart because you can see love in that. And when you see love, you will know love. So if we are all intentional about the doing part of love,
Right.
then obviously the child will grow up loving others.
Very
That's
valid,
profound.
very valid. And yeah, we are not saying that, when a child does something wrong, just like both of you said, you mentioned that there's no one side to everything. It's not that maybe the child breaks something and then, aside the fact that you can use words, there are
Yeah.
also other things that you can probably say or do to make that child know that, okay, this is not the way you should do it. And it's not that maybe it's not like one side fits all, that it's just from caning or just from talking. Yeah, of course, very, very important, valid, because those are the things that shape the way children are able to become more mature and also be able to relate with other people in society. And I see that we can't really overemphasize this issue or this topic in itself, because a lot of us have experiences. If we start mentioning some of the experiences we had growing up, some of them scarred us, some of them probably even made us better, just like I shared my own experience. Some of them made us feel like, when you see other people exhibit these things, I know how to handle it.
Yeah.
I know how to relate to it because of the upbringing, because of certain things I've learned while in my growing phase. And I just want to see a big thank you to you guys. You guys have really made this so much fun for us. And I'm sure that those listening and those watching us, they have been able to get impacted. They've been able to laugh, have some reflective moments from when they were also growing up. Someone will be like, yes, yeah, they are saying the truth. Like, I did this, I did that, and no more. Come on, I'm actually waiting to see what people's comments would be. Those watching and viewing this, I'm waiting to see what their comments would be, if they can also
Yeah.
tell us what their experiences are. So let me just quickly add that, do you guys have any last words for us before we wrap up?
Nah,
Ladies first.
it's not about ladies first.
All right, so we'll go first. Jomloju, you go first.
So they bullied me into going first. Well, I don't part. Well, as a summation, I think that the context of this conversation started us from fear and what's the word?
Respect, yeah.
Respect, and I think the bigger question, the bigger conversation for me is, how are you loving this child to the person that you want them to become? Who do you want to become as a parent comes before what do you want to do, comes before who do you want this child to become. And I don't think sometimes, in terms of some aspects of a child's growing up development, okay, what do they go up to study, for instance, or what profession they choose? Those are the things are not necessarily your parents decide. A child will decide, just like the way we decide. You all come to that knowledge. But just to set a child up for success, I think it comes from a deep place of love. And love does not look like just pampering or caring.
Yeah.
It's just a balanced view of, I want the best for this child and doing everything that is the best. I know that now I'm not speaking out of experience, so I hope that because things are very easily being said and done. So
Or something.
things are be a lot easier said than done. But like I hope that I can be that parent for my kids. So.
Thank you, Jomloju.
I think I'll just sum it up that
From experience.
from experience and everything. I mean, we are all learning and growing, and I'm grateful for my profession. It has really exposed me to a lot regards raising my child and building a family. But the summation for everything is just be who
Sorry,
you
Rema.
want.
You're a parent. Obviously, you have a husband. Just this will be the last question I'll ask. So, are there instances where maybe the way that you seem, or you just want to correct your child, based off on maybe his wrongs, are different from the way your husband will say it?
Obviously, there are things that we don't agree on, but we don't do it in front of our child. Before giving birth, during pregnancy, we've had conversations about parenting. And then we've agreed on few things, and we are still learning on the job. But it's not a high thing. That's why I said ego is one big issue that will stop you from actualizing some
Yeah,
things.
real,
So
real.
when we had conversations and we were able to come to a place of, oh, this is what we are, the kind of a child we are raising for God from our belief system. We were able to come to that place of, okay, this is how we do. So when we don't agree and we see that he has slept, okay, with this one, you know that I beat him like that. Okay, next time I will do it. So the second day we picked it up again. So maybe at some point, what he has told me not to do, I will find him doing it someday. But then we always come to that place of agreement, even after we've not agreed over some certain things, but not in front of our child. And if that thing is happening in front of our child, it will not make it seem like he's siding the child above me.
Exactly.
No, that's not.
Or one person loves the
you
child
can't do it.
better
Why are you touching my wife? Why are you touching my husband? So the thing is, the most important thing is we get to just know how to manage ourselves in the midst of that circumstances.
Very true.
So
very true.
I'll just sum it up with just be the kind of person you want to see growing in the society.
Yeah.
So that when you begin to produce someone like yourself,
Yeah.
you'll be glad of what you've become so far.
Yeah.
So that you can replicate something better to the society.
Jot it
As a
down.
word.
Jot it
Wow,
down.
wow. Jomloju, type that down so I can. Wow, that was
definitely
a
be
key word.
learning
I think I use a little bit of phrase like that for my younger ones. My brother, I'll tell him that, see, things that you do now, or whatever you see that you want to become, or whatever you see you want to become, those are the things that you should see in other people. Like, you should try and picture other people having the kind of behavior that you also want to have. Not that maybe you expect that I can choose to be whatever I want, but then you now be someone that will be a nuisance in the society. But do you want other people to also be nuisance? Can they see you and say that, oh yeah, this guy, I want to be like this guy?
Yeah.
And then you see your behavior actually rubbing off on other people. I think that's a very brilliant word, like very brilliant. That's a word of wisdom. Maybe probably you write a book of Rema in the Bible. Or something,
Hey,
or
book
quote
of Rema.
You want to be whining me?
Rema,
Get
Rema.
me behind me.
quotes, some quotable quotes
Right.
as regards parenting, and also as regards how you can treat, how you can be able to have a level of bond, a level of
Relationship.
relationship with your child. And thank you once again, guys. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah,
And,
we have to.
I really
it.
enjoyed this.
really
You guys
nice.
enjoyed it too now.
It's nice to have conversation on the table with Johnny.
Oh my God,
But
Rema.
the funny thing is, I was expecting that maybe Rema could have probably maybe sided a little bit more on the discipline part.
We have finished the podcast.
Like,
Abi?
we're almost done. I was thinking that she would.
Because I'm a psychologist.
because you're a parent.
Obviously.
But
Obviously.
That was the setup he was setting you up for. That's what he's saying. He's confessing
So,
now.
you see now,
That is
I
for another
passed.
time. That is for another time. But yeah, Jomiloju, very
Yeah, thank you so much. I enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you so
Rema.
much.
Rema is
Johnny
good
is going to
at
be
this
a good father.
Yeah,
Hey, man.
I can see that. And, of course, he has a good mentor too now.
space. You happy? All right. Thank you very much.
All right,
Have a good
yeah.
one.
Thank you so much, and see you guys on the next one. Bye.